It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good afternoon, I'm Monika and this is City Beat. Joining me today is Deputy Mayor Penny Byer. Welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you very much. And in case you're wondering, I'm here because Mayor Fensky, as well as our Councillor Valentino and our General Manager, Gary Cipitelli, are in Edmonton by now to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference.
Sounds great. I'll be sure to ask him about that next week. If you have a question for Deputy Mayor Penny Byer, call us at 677-8181 or email us at CHTM@arcticradio.ca. To kick things off, what's been happening around the city?
Well, we've had quite a few discussions. As you know, there's been a lot of announcements later. I'll just gloss over some of those because you already know about them. The Community Safety Officer Program, the grants for our wastewater treatment plant. So those kinds of announcements cause a flurry of activity for training, for legal work, and for geotechnical work and all that sort of thing. So those announcements have automatically started the ball rolling on certain things. So while that's going on, we're also preparing for all of our summer activities, and June is probably the busiest month in Thompson ever, as we both prepare and hold certain things. And you know, before we get into any of those, I just want to ask people, because we're so busy in June and we're running from event to event, we've got our kids' graduations and everything else, we tend to run here, run there, run there. Just ask people to slow down a little bit so that there's no car accidents and nobody falling downstairs, that people are actually taking time to do things safely, because you don't want to ruin the summer.
Good reminder.
Yeah. So I think some of those big things that people know about are Nickel Days, National King Miner Competition, National Aboriginal Day. I mentioned the grad ceremonies and Canada Day, of course. So people are aware of those big things. But there's other things that are going on. Like, I understand the bike shop is open. The R.D. Parker has events, and if there's time, we can talk about those individually later. So.
Yeah, for sure. So how about we first talk about summer camps? It's not summer yet, but registration, I believe, is open. So tell us a little bit about the summer camps that the city offers.
You know, these have been going on for a long time. I remember my kids going to them, so it's kind of neat. But they're week-long camps, and each camp has a different theme. And registration is at the TRCC. One of the things that we do with the summer camps today that we didn't do way back then is that there's a daily rate as well as a 4-day rate for the short weeks and the 5-day rate. The details can be obtained by calling the TRCC, but the camps start July 6th and they wrap up on August 28th, but I think, if I remember correctly, July 10th to August 3rd, there's no camp that week.
Right. And so you said people can just register at the TRCC, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, another thing going on in the city is 30-day yoga challenge. What can you tell us about that?
Actually, I found out more about the 30-day yoga challenge yesterday than I had up at any other day. So this is I cannot pronounce it. Kylie Matichuk's business. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it wrong. It came from there, and the city's helping by promoting. But each day there's a different yoga pose, and they ask that you take a picture of you somewhere in Thompson doing a yoga pose and see who wins that. Sorry about that. And then they have prizes and everything. So we were looking at some of the pictures yesterday. Some of them are in absolutely gorgeous settings, and it's really nice to see different parts of Thompson. Even if it's somebody's backyard, it's really nice. So we're trying to figure out how we can do a pose on horseback.
Good luck. A quick reminder to listeners, if you have a question for Deputy Mayor Penny Byer, give us a call at 677-8181 or email CHTM@arcticradio.ca. Now, tomorrow is National Health and Fitness Day in Thompson. A lot of these things are fitness related. What can people do here in the city to mark the date?
I think any physical activity, whether you decide to walk to work instead of taking your vehicle, or take a bike, walk with your kids to school instead of driving them to drop them off, anything like that. I think the idea is to get people to think of adding physical activity to their daily lives rather than just celebrating one day. So if people keep that in the back of their mind so that they can make long-term changes in their fitness activity levels. So.
For sure. And just a reminder, I believe that tomorrow people can use the recreation facilities for free?
Absolutely.
Okay, yes, and that includes Norplex Pool and TRCC, everything? That's awesome. Now, moving along, there's been talk on social media about parking during soccer games. I've seen a few residents say that drivers have been parking on both sides of the streets in school zones. What's sort of the law when it comes to parking on streets?
The streets, there's always signage on the streets to tell you which sides you cannot park on. And basically, when it says no parking, there's no parking on that side of the street. And there's parking lots in the schools that people can use. And unfortunately, you might have to park a block away and walk the block to get to the soccer field in order to be parking safely. I don't think any of the people who are parking where they shouldn't be would be happy if it was their child that got hit by a vehicle. So if they keep that in mind and just park where parking is allowed. We do need to talk with the school district on such issues as that, and we do have a city liaison committee where we discuss those things, and that would probably be an excellent topic to have on our next agenda. So I'll make a note of that and make sure that that's put on there.
Sounds good. Is there someone that walks around and enforces, I guess, parking during the day during the soccer games?
We do have a bylaw officer, so one person to cover the entire city is a bit much, but that bylaw officer can certainly be made requested to make the rounds on soccer days.
Oh. So I guess people gotta watch out with parking. Now the weather has been improving. It's hitting the 20s. I'm definitely really happy about that. When is the city planning to open the splash pad?
Okay, I have to smile when you say you're happy about the 20s. My limit's 20 degrees. So the splash pad, there's a section of the splash pad that needs some resurfacing work. They want to do that before they turn on the water, just so that nobody's going to get their feet cut or hurt. So.
For sure.
And that should happen soon. It's certainly on their agenda to get that done quickly.
And I guess the city would post it on their Facebook page or something like that when it's open?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, the city is hosting a water treatment plant open house that's happening on June 10th and June 17th. What exactly will be happening at these meetings?
Okay, I really hope a lot of people attend this because there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of speculation. So there will be a poster board set up so people can see what goes on in the water treatment plant, what the improvements are and that sort of thing. There'll be discussion about how it works. There'll be discussion around the 56 agreement. There'll be discussion about how the city and ballet are approaching the handover of the facility. And I think it's an excellent chance for people to hear firsthand and ask their own questions of the very people who can supply them with the answer, the knowledgeable people. So I hope we have a lot of people show up at St. Joseph's Hall those 2 days.
So people will be able to ask questions, comments, that sort of stuff?
Absolutely. That's the whole reason for doing this, is so that people have that opportunity and they don't have to get it secondhand.
Okay. Now, before we wrap up, there are some events that you wanted to mention?
Yes. Council meeting on the 8th, of course. Before I mention any events, I just want to also mention two things. One is that we've presented our budget to a couple of places now. Let people know that it's online. If you have any questions about the budget, please direct them to Gary Sepatelli or Jenny Krentz. But the other thing is there's not just potholes in the city right now, there's also sinkholes. And what our crews find is when they start digging, invariably they seem close to fiber optic lines and that sort of thing. So it's not an easy fix. You can't just dig a hole and fill it up. So some of these take longer. Some of the ones, such as the one on Thompson Drive, they've had to close a section of Thompson Drive, so there's detours. Just remind people that the crews, in some cases, are actually delicate operations, even though you see big equipment, to make sure they slow down in the area, even on the section that's not detoured, and that they use extra caution when they're driving by. And if you happen to spot a sinkhole, please contact our Public Works Department immediately.
And as a reminder, usually the City of Thompson will post on Facebook which streets are having closures, that sort of stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. But, unless you're there to see it happen, you don't always know where they are. That's why we ask people to call in. I'm just looking to make sure I caught everything. I think so. I think the other thing is
lots of events this weekend.
Lots of events, and that's what I'm looking for. So there's a variety. There's Run Thompson. There is the Gutsy Walk for Crohn's and Colitis. Both of those are on Sunday, the 7th. And I know you're running public service announcements, so I'll ask people to listen for details on that. Reminder that the bike shop is open, and if you have any repairs, I believe they're still showing you how to repair your bike.
Yes, they're helping you repair every second.
Oh, helping you
Tuesday.
repair. Okay. Oh, darn. I was. Okay.
Yeah, you can't just drop it off and leave it.
Okay. The Artie Parker Spring Short Plays. This is kind of neat because that is a local student who's gaining recognition for her play that she wrote. So that's awesome. The other thing is, while all of these cool things are happening and exciting things, there are still people in the city that don't have the means to enjoy some of them, and they don't even have money for some of the basics. So the Salvation Army is making its appeal for additional food and clothing for its storehouse rather, on an environmental scale, just to remind you that we have our e-waste program again, and you can drop off anything electronic to the Public Works yard, and it's every Saturday from 8 until 4.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that's this edition of City Beat. Join us next Thursday around 11:30 for more on what's happening around the city and City Hall. For 102.9 CHTM, I'm Monika Gould.
City Beat will be back next Thursday.